It's been a while since I've sat down and talked to a camera like this. A lot has happened over the last few years, and neither of it has been good and bad. Um, but all of it has definitely been, I guess, what we could sum up as the human experience. Honestly, I think part of the reason is because I haven't fully known how to explain where my head has been at over the last couple of years. Life has felt very loud for a long time, for most of my life, as I've talked about on this channel. And not always externally, usually internally. Sometimes it's just my own thoughts becoming so constant that eventually, my nervous system forgets what quiet even feels like. But that isn't usually my life anymore. Um, I've been in therapy for 6 years now, and I've overcome so much. I've really I'm really happy to say that I've grown as a person, and you can't always have a happy life. I mean, maybe some of you have experienced that. I don't personally expect my life to go perfectly. I think suffering is just a part of it. Last year, I went through a breakup, was diagnosed with PTSD after experiencing betrayal trauma, and that kind of threw me for a whirlwind. But the recovery process after that was actually pretty cool, like being able to employ what I learned in therapy. I had went up on my dosage for Wellbutrin and Lexapro, almost double, and through somatic practices and keeping up with therapy, I really feel like I was able to handle that breakup of a 3-year relationship that ended really badly in the best way possible. And I went from having like the worst 2025 for the first half of the year to the best 2025. Like the last half of that year was absolutely amazing. And then I made a big change at the beginning of this year. And over a month ago now, a little over a month ago now, I just moved back here to California. I was in Minneapolis. And if you know what's going on in the world, then you know what happened over there. But there were other things going on in my life as well that, to be honest, I just messed up in the worst way, and uh, had relapsed in many ways. And I had stopped going to therapy around December of last year. One, because I told myself I couldn't afford it, moving back, when really, in all reality, I could have allocated funds, but um, just in the huge transition of everything, I was in such a great place, and I had let a lot just overcome my mind that didn't happen all at once, but really slowly. Started to get into things that I don't know. I mean, I'm still figuring it out in therapy, but in hindsight, really, it's just, I guess it could just be summed up with, not taking care of my mind. So, in the aftermath of all of that, I have now been back home here in Los Angeles for like 6 weeks, and I doubled my dosage of Lexapro to 20 milligrams. So I was taking 10 milligrams for a long time, went up to 20. The Wellbutrin, still the same. I know some people watching this probably found me years ago through my old Lexapro videos, which still kind of surreal to me, honestly. At the time, I was just documenting what I was experiencing because I felt scared and confused and wanted to know if anybody else felt the same way. I wanted to kind of keep a record for myself that I could look back years later to, in case I needed to encourage myself. And I'm happy that a lot of people over these last few years have benefited from that. I think those videos resonated because there's something very human about watching another person try to understand what's happening to them in real time, right? Like, not polished, not inspirational. I always try to be like as honest as I can be. And lately, as I've been adjusting again mentally and emotionally, I've noticed myself thinking a lot about loneliness not just my own loneliness, but everybody's. Upon coming back here, I essentially had to start over again for the second time in my life. Lost a group of friends that I had made, really amazing people. Uh, just burned a lot of bridges and, lost my career over there. Still looking for a job here. Really felt hopeless, no sense of purpose, and just aimless, really lonely. But I think a lot of people have been lonely over the past 6 years, especially now in ways that they don't even fully recognize yet. And the strange part is a lot of us are not physically alone. We're texting people all day. We're scrolling constantly, sending memes, watching streamers, listening to podcasts, sitting in Discord calls. I think we're consuming people nonstop. And yet, somehow, a lot of us still feel emotionally malnourished. That's the best way I can describe it, honestly. Emotionally malnourished, underconnected. Like we're consuming interaction without fully settling into connection. And I don't even mean this in some kind of like, technology is bad kind of way. I actually think the internet has saved a lot of people, um, myself included, and people I know. I know it saved me in certain seasons of life. Some of the most meaningful conversations I've ever had have happened online through the communities that I've been able to build via like Instagram and Discord and things like that. I've met a lot of really awesome people who have had an impact in my life. But I do think modern life has created this weird situation where a lot of us are constantly perceived without actually feeling known. And those aren't the same things. Being perceived is exhausting. Being known when you let your guard down and everything, being known is really grounding. I think that's part of why so many people feel emotionally tired all the time now, because even socializing can start to feel performative. You start to subconsciously manage yourself like constantly, managing how you come across, managing whether you sound interesting enough, funny enough, productive enough, mentally healthy, attractive enough, informed enough. Do I look good on camera? Am I saying all the right things? Even online spaces that are supposed to feel casual can slowly turn into a form of identity management. And after a while, I think your nervous system starts to crave environments where you don't have to perform your existence so aggressively. Like you just want to exist, but also with other people, but also, you know, not performing. And I didn't fully realize how badly I needed that until recently. Um, Upon coming back here, I just was diagnosed with MDD again. And so I kind of like posed a question online like, hey, if I'm in a Discord, would you join? And, here my intentions with this are like just for presence, kind of like a place of refuge, no politics, no current events, just a place to exist with other people without having to perform. And it's been great. We've grown over the last 3 weeks to about 330 members. And we host like weekly game nights and TED Talks and things like that. And the other day, we had a Discord call that lasted like 5 hours. And the last like couple hours, for the first time, we were like all on camera, or most of us were on camera. And we talked about everything and we talked about nothing. And people were giving like little TED Talks about their hyper fixations or their interests. Some people were talking about games, some people talking about food, or people drifting in and out of conversations naturally. There were long pauses sometimes, random jokes, small stories, tangents that went nowhere, but nothing about it felt optimized. Nobody was networking, nobody was trying to become more impressive. Nobody was trying to brand themselves into being worthy of connection. And I think oftentimes, whether it's in the physical space or digital space, we feel like we have to brand ourselves to be likable, to be accepted. And in this call, or in this server rather, people were just existing around each other. And when I got off that call, which ended like, I think around midnight, I noticed something almost immediately. I mean, like I felt more like myself, so much lighter. And that feeling honestly hit so much harder than I expected, because the last month or so of my life has felt like one big emotional blur in a way that's really difficult to explain. Like my sense of time has been crazy warped, and you know, I mean, here's a trigger warning for you. I had attempted 3 weeks ago now, and I had never done anything like that in my life. And that server was kind of birthed out of that experience. And since then, it's only been 3 weeks, but honestly, it feels like it's been like months, like that was last year, but it wasn't. It was only 3 weeks ago. And I know that, psychologically speaking, stress has a way of doing that. Anxiety has a way of doing that to your perspective, to your mind. Days start collapsing into each other, and life starts feeling like one other giant uninterrupted event that your body is just trying to survive. But that call interrupted the blur for me. My body had been reminded that life is still happening around me. And I was reminded that not all of life is crisis, not all of my life is performance, and not all of life is survival. Some of it is just people existing together. And I know that sounds simple, but I actually think that we underestimate how healing ordinary coexistence can be. I think people miss third places. And if you've never heard of that term before, I highly encourage you to look it up. But, the world has been evolving. It's continuing to evolve. And ultimately, I think what we really need in our lives are third places. Because I think people miss casual friendships. I think people miss low pressure companionship. I think people miss environments where they can show up imperfectly without feeling like they need to justify their presence. And honestly, I think a lot of adults are carrying that loneliness that they don't even know, because they don't have the language for it anymore. Because isolation has become so normalized in our culture, especially online. We know how to consume each other now very well. We know how to monitor each other very well. And we know how to perform ourselves to each other. But I don't know if we fully know how to just be around anyone anymore. And maybe that's why my moments of genuine connection feel so overwhelming now when they happen, because our nervous systems are starving for those experiences. Not for spectacle or constant stimulation or even productivity, but just for the presence. I don't think people miss only connection. I think people miss hearing about somebody ramble about something meaningless. I think they miss laughter in the background. I think they miss being invited somewhere without needing to, earn it first. I think we miss feeling emotionally included in this world. And honestly, I think that's part of why I wanted to make this video. Not because I, have any solutions for any of this. I'm just here talking about my experience as a 33-year-old. I don't have life figured out still, like I thought I did for the fourth time. And I don't think that I have anything grand to say because, changing my medication fixed anything. But because I've been realizing lately that healing is something a lot more quieter than what I expected it to be, what we expect it to be. Sometimes healing looks like your nervous system just relaxing for a couple of hours because you remember what it felt like to be human around other humans. And maybe that's sounds like really small and really easy or insignificant even, but I don't think it is. I think a lot of us are carrying more than we admit. I think a lot of us were never meant to carry this much life completely alone.